Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to ETF2L 66 Spring Season 2024, aka 47. I've kept track of the numbers again, I think. I don't know. It's the third week. We are going to be looking at yet another wonderful match on Print Stream. This is the B stream, yes, the wonderful one. Hi to like the 3 people that know about this channel's existence for the time being. Anyway, it's going to be the Germans versus MANDEM. Germans just running through the gauntlet, going through the toughest matches possible in the first 3 weeks of the season. Surely they'll be able to take some points home from this because they desperately need them. Anyway, before I get home myself, I'm Cerny, joined by JMax on the camera and DumTum on the mic. How's it going, man?
Pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, like you said, the gauntlet continues, and getting points here would be a big deal because MANDEM on the other side of this matchup has not lost any yet. As per usual, they're performing stellar before playoffs. We'll see if that can continue on playoffs for now, but they're also not through the gauntlet yet, as he said. They still have to play our expected top teams here of 4fans, TLR, and maybe even Scatter and the Germans in that regard as well. However, that will be decided today to see how these two stack up against one another. For what it's worth, obviously, very, very close last season already. In fact, had to play in playoffs as well to even get anywhere. So it's going to be a difficult one to decide already. But one thing we know for sure, despite not getting points, these Germans had really, really close games all the way through so far.
I mean, yeah, they did snatch a couple of points against 4fans in some excruciating, grueling maps, especially that second one, where they're probably still beating themselves for leaving some points on the table to begin with, taking it all the way to a golden cap on that map of, I believe it was Gully Wash. Just grueling series all around. They took forever to get anything done. Finally, at least got something out of it. They're not looking necessarily as on form as they might have, looked at the end of last season. Maybe it's, Pickle's still getting acclimated to the team. Maybe it's the fact that Shocky is still missing and Ixie has basically just become their main at this point. Like, he's playing for them again tonight as well. I don't think he's rostered.
How many times can an unrostered player play for a team without them getting a warning? Do they know that number? Because I think we're breaking a rule right now at this point.
I feel like if there's one more week of Ixie playing on that team, he just has to join the roster at this point because he's becoming.
I mean, he has no reason not to. It's not like the team he's playing against playing at the season, so.
He's doing fine. He's doing phenomenally. We know he's good at the game. He's proven it once and time again. He's good at the game. He does his job. So I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah,
that's a bit of an understatement for his quality, but we'll see. I mean, ultimately, it all still has to work together eventually, and for what it's worth, he's getting worked into the roster at a rapid pace this season, I guess, at this point. So more or less, it's been working pretty well. Everyone's doing their job more or less flawlessly in many ways. However, not flawless enough, I guess, to really get the points just yet, which is also what's happening on MANDEM's side, of course. Like I said, haven't lost yet, had clean results so far. Only had to play MANDEM and Gada, which I don't think it's teams this season everyone has assurance for playoffs. Gada has a chance obviously to sneak in there, I suppose, especially with the points they already got against TLR, but coming back off that into a straight loss to MANDEM makes this whole thing be a lot harder. And MANDEM didn't just win, they won big time. They just got quick 5, no map took 30 minutes. I think this will be a different story now. We'll see if the scrims were good enough to be prepared for this now. You sure think there is that plenty practice around the season? Everyone's been just fired up since LAN, I would imagine. So they should be ready for actual competition now.
Yeah, I would not be surprised. I feel like, this could go either way. We could see a MANDEM roll here as well if they're just on their regular season form, they're trying to go for the flawless season once more and then choke in playoffs, or whether they actually continue that momentum, or the Germans, they have a little bit of a better time than they did on Monday. Anything's possible, as we're getting into our first little mid-fight on Metalworks here. Where does Stove versus MANDEM on either side here, as Fancy is the first player to reach that midpoint ever so slightly sooner than Philip. No cheeky quick bombs out of either soldier here either. It's just going to be a slow and steady mid, and Ixie's going to be the first to fall on the side of the Germans. And just off the back of that, matter of fact, the entire rest of the team decides to run away. Pickles even gets caught by Hans, who was on a very aggressive chase, and that is something he's going to be very happy about.
You can run, but you can't hide. Hans finds them anyway immediately on that one, and off that one kill they got to begin with, that is the best conversion you can ask for. We were just talking about before the game, right? You gotta be quick in the transitions to be able to maximize any small advantage, and that is exactly what we were talking about there. Not just let people get away for free. Always see if there's just a little more you can squeeze out of these moments, and if the medic's just a little late to leave, that is just an open invitation for any bomb to catch them. Will make things tremendously much harder on the last point of the German team. Sniper up on Ixie is about all they have. Engineer up as well now for Voxy. Puts up gun. Anything that helps slow down MANDEM's roster in any shape or form.
As they Uber in from the far left side, immediately get that sentry taken down, some bombs in as well. They find Piggles again, so even if there was going to be any sort of counterplay to the Germans, they have no heals to work with. 2 more players down as they're trying to protect that point from any sort of cap time, but these MANDEM players are just scattered everywhere. They do lose June. Eventually, they do find that medic. Unfortunately for the Germans, though, Philip was the only one left against 3 other players. He's not going to defend that all by himself when he's on 30 health, and there you go. First round converted just like that for MANDEM.
Yeah, some people would probably argue against going for the medic as the first kill in Nubat push like this, but that took no time at all, didn't waste anything, and just landed on the Med's head. No chance to surf away either. Very well done by Lardox and team, and they just clean up from there. And not barely even 2 minutes in, actually. Probably having a lead on the side of MANDEM. Looks like they are opting to go from roll to roll this season, but far from out of this yet. Oh, good start once again. Philip called right away. Cost them 2 players. They go so deep for the demo mending. Overextend just a tiny bit. Can't get back out again the other way around. And now it's just seeing if they can get anything still. The scouts stuck in the middle of this whole thing for MANDEM, but they can't quite get the medic. Piggles and Voxy good enough to defend from the rest of this, and a little bit of cleanup later on the other side of mid, let alone second at this point even. They're hunting down the med already. They very well also show that they're quick on the move after the mid fight is well decided. Split up the force a little bit, get the med kill that the opponents fail to get. And the other way around it goes.
Yeah, very nimble, very quick recovery here, immediately turning the tide of the match. Now, obviously, you have to convert it as well. And, well, the Germans, they've looked better than guarded at converting last pushes, but they still struggled. They was their kryptonite against the Frenchies on Monday as well. They really struggled with converting great last push opportunities. So even if they have the full Uber to work with here, they actually have to make it work, and the longer they take, the more time MANDEM has to set up. So here it comes, the Uber in as well, sentry taken down immediately. They have that Inzo heavy to deal with eventually. He's not near the point yet, but you gotta try to get something done, get some frags. They do find a couple with Inzo and Haunts, but they lose 3 players on their own side as well, including Philip, which means no stickies on that point to shut off anybody from blocking. And it's only Ixie and Piggles left, running with the tail between their legs, trying to get out of there and live as best they can.
It's an interesting adjustment by MANDEM. They had the heavy under the bridge, sort of where you sometimes see a sentry gun be, to have the like front wall sentry gun they can't see until they come in, and it did exactly what you think does. There's still a gun they have to take care of on the other side as well, and then they turn around, there's still a heavy. It splits attention quite nicely, let the scouts out of spawn very easily for the blue team, and Boulder delivered right away with some kills, and they want some more. They're hungry, they need to get this across the map if they want some more rounds out of this, but Uber does not get as much as they wanted to. It's always this sort of dream to just jump in there as demo man, get everyone on the door, but not much will die from that, and it might just get traded around. We'll see the situations ever so often in the game, but can anyone convert nicely from this one? Ixie with an early kill looks good for the red side already. Seeing as they still hunt down anyone who's left, they're slow to leave here. They're taking so much damage. The Germans not giving them a quiet moment on the way back. You'll love to see it. And with these 3 kills, MANDEM is in a tough spot. They don't even have Uber yet as well, and forcing the one that Germans have is out of the question on the second point. They have to go to last. Hope the players that spawn now are enough, but the setup time that they had last time, I don't think will be afforded to them now.
Absolutely not. Matter of fact, if the Germans move quickly enough here, which they seem to be keen on doing, they can even catch him before June's ever going to get close to an Uber. So, depends on how they do it, depends on how they approach it. It looks like they're biding their time on the side of the Germans. They don't want to risk it too much. It can goes down. They get a little bit of cap time as well. They need to deal with that heavy. Ixie's trying his best to just get onto the combo somehow, but that's not happening either. 3 players down to just try and make some ground on last. You didn't use your Uber at the very least, but now you're going to be on the back foot, trying to keep these MANDEM players at bay, trying to keep this Haunts from popping your medic, and well, worst case, I guess you're giving up second for it.
Yeah, you already brought up that in the matchup against the Frenchies the other day, this is the sort of situation the Germans struggled with a little bit harder, and especially the Frenchies look really good in these like barely getting to last transitions. There's no gun up yet to see what chaos you can create. Looks like they couldn't quite replicate the success the Frenchies have up until this week quite yet. Still plenty to go around later this season to fix some of those mistakes, but will cost them at least an opportunity to create some chaos on last if they really badly need it. And now it is maybe chaos getting created on their part. There's both scout peeking quite a bit. They're sending a bomb in return, double bomb in back, seeing whatever they can get, but it's just not quite enough for anyone to find a good target there as well. But look at the MANDEM flank. They're also trying to peek so deep, just really hoping to catch someone unaware on any of these doors in lobby. And if anyone steps out of line, there is just someone already on the hunt. Not quite getting rewarded yet, but I appreciate the attempt on MANDEM side to be proactive during all of this as well. But you gotta be careful still, can't get caught slacking. The bombs are coming in, trying to get to this medic, and still alive for a little bit longer there, but not close to the medic. Nice little air shot at Ixie with 1-2. That's still a 3-for-2 trade. but at least you lose players now for failed sack attempt with a lot better number situation for your own ability to hold mid, maybe? Either way, MANDEM's trying, but no, there was June, I think, getting a buff on the soldier up top, not watching border for a second, and that guy still went in minor miscommunication and immediately getting punished. Good focus by the Germans. Gets rewarded right away. Pipe into Scout. Voxy cleans it up for the demo man. We still eat pipes. June stepping on the line. Can't get the flash on anyone for this Uber. At least Fallen Horns is still behind. Gets the force out. Makes this retroactively a bit of a scuff trade, but at least the Uber's gone on last.
That was interesting. I feel like June almost it felt like a misclick, where like just trying to Uber someone and dropping. Like she was in the door, nobody near her whatsoever. Just suddenly I see her flashing with an Uber. That was very strange, but ultimately it does not matter. Hans does save that for his team here still, because otherwise the Germans would have had a freebie opportunity to try and get it this last. Now they gotta fight for it. They gotta get through a lot of opposition. A lot of these MANDEM players very aggressive. Matter of fact, Voxy very aggressive as well, just below the bridge here, trying to maybe be a little bit of a nuisance, be a bit of a distraction, maybe even go for an off-class. He loves to do so from time to time. I would not be surprised if that's something that he's trying to get out of the quiver immediately. But for the time being, we're resetting. Everything's equal, and
I feel like
sniping.
On a play like Voxy's just now, you really need a bomb on top of that, right? Like,
yeah.
No one really wants to be the ones losing a lot of players for no reason there, but Voxy had all the eyes on one point. You really need to play doing all of this. They were just still busy with stickies, I believe, at the same time, just slowed down enough, so props to Fancy slowing them down there, but it's going not so great already right now. The snipes are out on the defense more than in the offense, what you were asking for, and well, it's harder to get out last with the sniper. It sure does make it miserable to get into last in the same vein there, so Border's just making things difficult for the Germans. They gotta find an answer. We've seen them struggle here a little bit before, but they have plenty of time now.
Oh yeah, they have a lot of time to work with still. We're not even 10 minutes into the map yet. Sure, they might be down around, but that's something to work with. They just gotta deal with this damn sniper at some point. Yes, KN goes for a high bomb, and Ixie deals with the sniper. Okay, alright, KN gets a kill onto Inzo as well, and matter of fact, it's followed by Voxy onto Fancy. They're actually finding some frags, but they're also losing 4 players for it.
Pickles gets force of this too! Oh no, this was starting to... It all went wrong when the trap just got too... Fancy held that trap until this flank all walked in at once for the damage, expecting them to do exactly that. And he was so correct too. If they didn't try to get back out, I think they would have lived as well, but they didn't want to overextend at first. And it just made things even worse off the back of that. And now it's getting dicey because MANDEM now has a bit of momentum in their sails, and I think they're just gonna go straight forward, hoping to still catch anyone there. That one from the shutter door, blocked off the exit, will get caught. That's a nice kill to have right away. Pickles doesn't quite have Uber yet, so this demo down on mid could actually tremendously matter if they just want to keep up the fight.
Yeah, they're just gonna keep the momentum rolling forward. Almost certainly Pickles nowhere near that Uber yet. Not gonna have anything to respond with whatsoever, and just being down on numbers here. You gotta deny those bombs as well. Hans already on top of Pickles. It does get taken care of, so that medic is gonna be safe for the time being, and now he does have his Uber, so they did hold MANDEM back for long enough, but they also have to make use of this ad before it fizzles away, and they're certainly taking their sweet time once more, trying to get this transition there, all just rotating through alleyways, so far away from any MANDEM players they could aggress onto, so it's gonna be another equal situation for another last push attempt, and, well, that might just give MANDEM the time they want to set up something again. You already got Inzo on the NG, preparing that sentry. Wouldn't be surprised if one of them decides to go heavy as well. There you go, Boulder has picked up the minigun, so it's just going to be another situation where they have to somehow eke their way into this. It's certainly a lot harder than a freebie. Okay, with a little bit of bomb, Ixie just going to walk on the point and take a lot of cap time for free without anybody blocking him for so long. Fair enough, you take those when you get them. 2 players for what is almost the full cap is surprisingly effective, but they got to actually do something with the respawners once they come in.
Well, you can work with this though. This is a lot of cap already, a lot of which decays already, but it's certainly a lot more concern. Forces positioning a bit more just now, and if the first push earlier was anything to go by, just a bit more chaos and not getting blocked off on entry as much is maybe just immediately what they need here, although the Uber certainly will complicate matters, and I mean, even just getting rid of that helps a lot already. We're not quite getting the damage on the medic. Cap time slowly decaying. You gotta make a move quick if you really still want to work off that in any capacity, but see what it is. Still have to worry about the snipe as well. So much to watch out for. Anti-air trap. You'll love to see it. You don't see those in the lower divisions because the lower players don't have jumps like this, but these prep players just expecting each other to have the good bombs and just play around that perfectly.
Philip getting headshot as well, and then a bit of cleanup from an escaping fish cup. Nobody's getting out for free out of this one. I'm surprised they hang on to their Uber. At the very least, Pickles manages to get out of there unscathed, and they're going to be able to just hold on to mid for the time being. But it's another point just given up for free again, with little to show for it. And unless they manage to get some nice plays here, just a crucial force or something to really turn the tides for the Germans. I feel like these little advantages, little players to push off of is just seemingly not enough for them right now. They need something big. They need a big play. They need something that can really blow open this MANDEM defense, because it's too tight-knit. Even with a couple of players losing their lives, they clean up 4 players on the Germans somehow, and it just falls apart immediately. So I suppose we'll see whether maybe a bomb through alleyway is what they desire here. If KN trying to get some ground, immediately gets denied though. So much damage on him already. He just has to get out of there as Philip just waltzes forward instead with his scout buddy, and they do find a frag onto Hans at the very, very least before the Ubers are used out. Slightly better for June, but he does have to flash a lot. They'll probably fade around the same time, and then in terms of positioning, it may very well favor the Germans, as they do take second off the back of it.
Yeah, really good exchange. They saw that bit of damage they had on the guy in Shutter and on the big door opening, and just went for it immediately, got that kill, forced the flash, really importantly on the guy on the front door as well. Really, really solid exchange by the Germans to transition into this game set we have now, but it's going rough. Use an entry, the bomb gets sniped by the heaviest one that might be all they have. Spent the medic one more time. Voxy on the combo side at least manages to stay alive with the medic, gets them out as well, hoping really badly to get something out of this, but it's just not enough. They lose 2 people instantly, trying to play quick there, and that's always the difficulty, right? Playing fast well is just making you take a lot of risks sometimes. Playing with just a little bit of information in certain situations, can't check doors for that long and all that, will not turn out as intended for the Germans this time around. And all this work on second just negated by a couple of people watching their doors and entries on random. Back to second it is, but I mean, as we were talking about, if you just struggle on last enough, maybe just win a fight on second big time, and it might just transition instantly. The previous exchange not quite that, but it certainly was a step in the right direction, so any more of this might just negate all of the last time they've been struggling with so far.
Certainly is an opportunity to maybe switch up his strategy. KN unfortunately not going to be making anything happen this time around though, as he goes straight back to the respawn queue off of a sack attempt, and now they actually got to deal with more MANDEM players just aggressing into them. They do trade out Inzo at least. Okay, they find Lardox as well. It's still even trades either side here, and that's enough for MANDEM to back off as Hans gets overextended as well, gets caught in a lobby, and maybe, just maybe, this is enough for the Germans to move off of. Obviously, they got some respawners coming in as well, but yeah, they do take second off the back of that, obviously. And, well, maybe, just maybe, this is another opportunity to get into last. It's still equal, though. It's still equal situations. It's still, you know, not particularly of a freebie. They have to work for it once more. They have to work through a sentry. They have to work through a heavy as well, who's obviously going to be buffed up, standing on that bridge, denying any sort of bombs. It's Boulder as well, so you know that guy is basically a second sentry gun. It's nothing that you can just grab without some real strategizing. And, well, we'll see how they approach this one, as Fishkov is in position on the flank. The rest of the team positioned in lobby as well. Perhaps some kind of bomb, some cheeky spam. Who knows what this could possibly turn into. No anti-air bomb to worry about this time around, at least. Though, you know, no stickies on that wall. But yeah, KN, that's maybe prod a little bit here, seeing if you can get some ground, just a bit of spam. They do get a lot of damage onto Fancy, but the sentry's just denying it. And there you go, Balder, picking up the rifle, ringing up a couple of headshots real quick, just to clean out some people here. And that's all she wrote already.
Alright, back to defending second it is. No Devilman, 1 scout down. They're peeking so much already.
Oh my God.
Balder doesn't even need that long a time to find the shots of the opening. They're just exchanging. They're done with this. They want blood. And maybe force the fight out of this one as well. Balder might still get caught here in the end by the pistol, just about. It is 2 down, but they did not expect the medic to be this far back. And MANDEM played their cards very well, playing this far in the backline. Their gun gets down. They're still down a lot of people. You might still get the force. And honestly, the later this happens, the better it gets. So taking your sweet time to get this going is just what they needed. There's Weaver coming out finally as well. And as long as Pickles lives, you might have something on their hands on the German side. But they really got to keep that medic alive. And look at now it's almost 30 ad.
Alright, they gotta play tightly though. 30 ad is not a lot against June, mind you. Again, not a lot against most medics, but especially against June as well. So you gotta build hella fast. You gotta make use of it. It's already shrinking, this ad, so you gotta make it work as best you can. You gotta move quick. Sentry's not up just yet. They have to not worry about it. They also don't have to worry about a sniper for once. At least for once, they do not have to worry about that. They have to worry about a pyro as out of Inzo instead. And he's positioned at the exact right position. Voxy gets juggled up immediately, cannot get anywhere near him. In fact, nobody can even get through the door until the sentry is finally taken care of alongside the pyro. But they still get a lot of cap time. in the tail end there, and June does not have an Uber yet, so she's not gonna be able to block just yet, with Molly getting taken down on the point as well. There you go! Nobody else jumps on the point, they just expected the heavy to block it. Unfortunately for them, Ixie runs into him and deals 200 damage with meat shots.
Yeah, +1 pipe, that's 300, heavy down right away. Who would have thought? The Germans, I can't help but imagine, wanted an exchange in lobby earlier, did not get at all what they wanted, but caught enough people off beam that I guess MANDEM wasn't quite ready for to actually have to deal with in lobby. All of a sudden, there's nothing last, they get forced, and that's more advantage, difficult as it is. They were able to convert finally, and all of a sudden it's a different game, although actually, is it? Huge damage by Horde. He's just sitting in front wall waiting for them to walk into the rockets, and they gladly deliver 2 down out of nowhere. And we're going straight back to last. I have to imagine there's nothing left on second. There's any red player inside. Yeah, back to last it is. MANDEM almost couldn't have asked for anything more. All that's left to go is the map to go down, and we got the full sweep.
They're recovering immediately. Just a little stumble, giving up a round, maybe a little bit of a bone thrown the way of the Germans before they immediately take back control of the match. Have that Uber ready, rearing to use in as quickly as they maybe want to. I mean, they're aware Pickles is alive, so they gotta still work for it a little bit, and they're certainly dealing a lot of damage to these German players. Not finding any frags just yet, though. No cleanup coming through. Everybody's so low, but nobody killed. Pickles manages to keep everybody alive, and Inzo's actually gonna go down on the other side, so that's enough for MANDEM to back off ever so slightly. Give him some space, give him some time. You gotta work it a little bit differently, as Voxy immediately picks up the Disguise Kit. So we're gonna be seeing perhaps a little cheeky backstab.
Yeah, not even a spy check, we were just going for it all. But I don't know, MANDEM doing already a decent bit of threatening presence there on last at the beginning. I mean, now the gun can be fully set up and all that, so the defense is getting big stronger, but I'm sure they're having plenty of time here to figure something out. Bombs already coming in hot, and the mat's easy to pick out of the dispenser, or if there's even one there. Not very much it looks like, and just catch them right away. And we just mentioned it so many times, you really got to be into these last plays before much of a defense is set up as soon as possible. You got to catch people on the move to make the defense happen before it's up. Exactly what you're seeing here. There's level 1 no dispenser yet. You got to be quick on these. MANDEM delivers, and any spy play is just a distant dream now. You got to go back to last and defend this thing.
Matter of fact, he was so indecisive about the spy play. Went back to spawn, didn't really know what to play. Maybe the fact that Voxy was just chilling in spawn for 10 seconds. Yeah. Not even as a scout, you know, couldn't deny any bombs either. That doesn't help. Doesn't help when you got 2 soldiers jumping your mid immediately. So there's the counter Uber out of MANDEM. They take it into last immediately, obviously.
Did he just hit that? Everyone was hitting everything. Lardox dies to the others as well. Every soldier is hitting everything on the German side. There's some more damage for KN, but they got to worry about what's left here. There's still a couple of people getting the medic at the very least. Inzo behind. Can't be enough by himself to win the fight, but at least it helps get the medic. Tries to fight these German soldiers as much as they're hitting there. It's not quite enough to be... Well, I guess they're defending. They're not out of the woods just yet, though, with the only now spawning. June doesn't have a big advantage, but certainly getting out of second would be a whole lot harder now.
They're not going to be able to go much further. Matter of fact, hanging on to second might even be a problem. There's so much aggression out of men already. Lardox in with a deep bomb immediately. Does not get much of it except a bit of zoning, but the team is there to follow him up and see what they can do as Inzo's fighting 2 scouts and somehow winning against both of them. And there's the nuke out of Haunts and Fancy, and they're just demolishing everybody on the German team who decided to stay up ahead, while Pickles decided, hey, let's live. At least for the time being. And now he's got 1 soldier to protect him from an onslaught of very angry MANDEM players who would love nothing more than to cap this last point, which they do immediately.
Well, if you can't win the fight on last, just win the fight on second badly enough, and you won't have to worry about it. Ancient Wisdom proving right once again. MANDEM with the second round in their favor. Back into the lead, 10 minutes left to go, a third of the game. Still has to be played on Metalworks. Not a ton of time, but it's not been really all too slow a game just yet, so really knows what comes out of it. What we do know, however, is that these mid fights need to be fakes. MANDEM is just faster in pretty much every respect on mid, and it's been causing problems.
It definitely has been. At least this time around, they might not have to worry about a Haunts, as Fishcup just meets him, body checks him in the air, and they trade for each other effectively. KM with a high bomb as well does get launched into the enemy team, and well, some damage follow-up is actually gonna give them some pick advantages here for the Germans. They do only have to worry about Fancy and June left, and obviously, well, both of them have left. They're not anywhere near mid anymore. They don't have to worry about much beyond not being able to necessarily chase as well. But certainly win the mid of the back of it for the time being. They're going to get some forward spawners. They're going to have the ability to perhaps convert at least a little bit into this. And Voxy's really interested in the spy play. This time around, he's actually committing to it for real this time. So maybe this is the X factor they need. Maybe this is the surprise factor they have. with the spy unexpectedly just showing up all of a sudden. It's a good situation. Equal Ubers, never a better time than to have this happen now. All you need is a good stab. Just a good target, somebody who's woefully unaware of what could possibly be behind them. And he is sneaking his way just like that behind enemy lines. Nobody even there to look at him. None the wiser. Matter of fact, there's the soldier bombs to distract ever so slightly. And Jun is gonna back straight into that knife. There you go. That's the stab they're looking for. That's all you need. Just keep your team alive as best you can. Do not let Piggles pop to anything right now. And you have a prime opportunity to get into last.
Yeah, not just getting the medic, getting the scout on top of that too. If there was any chance to force, it's getting slimmer and slimmer with less numbers on the field. Boulder died with a different spawn wave even to make things worse. Won't even be on us quite early, and that might matter. It comes up now, switches to heavy, will have much less beam time. Doesn't have time for a buff even. There's less health to go around. Gun goes down pretty early, sits and spawn as well. They need cap them quick though to make that matter. Soldiers back to block this, but having a tough time getting there at all. Eating a lot of damage. One already down as the scouts out of spawn. Two getting to point at least.
Okay.
German's playing really slow in reserve, taking this one step at a time, trying to still run down the heavy. Ixie really weak, doesn't have the backup in time quite yet. They want the soldier, they want the heavy. Find the kill on that guy at the very least. Met on point. Soldier with that as well. And the Germans just sitting there playing as slow as possible. They still need to worry. Haunts are spawning, and the soldiers are hitting the damage already without him.
They're bleeding slowly but surely. Losing the war of attrition there is just... yeah, I hate to see it. Just a little bit too spread thin. Not enough heals to go around for everybody. Piggles can only do so much as one person. And ultimately, the respawn waves just keep coming in for MANDEM. Keep helping them, holding onto it for long enough. And, well, they hang on to it for the time being. That being said, there's no way they can push out. They have nowhere near enough of an advantage to push off of whatsoever. So they're going to have to hang on to this last point. And the Germans get another chance, even if it's not as much of a freebie. They do get another Uber now. They do have another opportunity, another chance to trying to make something happen. And if they're keen enough and also don't die to Balder, which, yeah, they're probably rightfully scared of by now, they might even have an opportunity to make a play happen, to just open this up a little bit. KN.
Oh, we're just going for it all though.
Primed ready.
Exchange into the left side, if you want to call it that. Dark skill gets caught, gun goes down, but Jun's Uber nowhere to be used just yet. Waiting so long to have to pop this. If they even will have to, they're trying hard. It's not even taking too much damage to eventually still not have to. So the Uber will come out at the last second there to save the heavies alive. It's not great, but maybe we can force awkward interactions with this, and certainly with how they got the first round, getting an awkward fight in lobby really is just what they need.
Perhaps this could be something they can work with. It's worst case, it's another reset. It's another opportunity. You didn't lose second at the very least. You're still stable here. You still have an opportunity to get back in. You just gotta worry about that Balder sniper. He's been a bit of a menace so far, and surely they expect it by now. But also, you know, they gotta be careful, man. All he needs is a good angle, and he will hit those. He does hit those. He's opted for the heavy again instead. He knows that it's probably not going to happen at this point. They got to worry about holding this instead, and, well, let's see how the Germans try to approach this one this time around. They don't have to worry about anybody instantly dying as they cross a corner, but they do have to worry about just getting in the first place without taking too much DM damage, and that's what they're just going to do. Actually, just going to walk. They're just going to walk across the bridge before finally using their Uber. The Sentry is so defensive that it's not really denying that much ground, but they still take ages to take it down. Obviously, so much of a later Uber out of June as well. Piggles is already dead, no heals to go around. They do find a couple of frags though. Fancy and Balder both taken down. At least something to lick your wounds with. These soldiers pulling a lot of weight here, man. KN and Fishkopf somehow, some way, Fishkopf gets away with killing June as well. Truly a saving grace for that last push attempt, because Piggles is going to spawn so much sooner.
And history repeats itself. They are just getting the latest mad kills this game on the German side. And somehow that's just enough, I think, to get a good push out of this one. Pickles will be 30 by the time June is up. And that is pretty much all you need. And honestly, I respect it. A lot of the times you see people only go for exchanges at the end of the timer, especially lower levels, because they don't dare do it earlier, because what if we mess up? They realize if they don't get something sooner or later, it's going to be messed up anyway. There's not much time left in the round, let alone the map. They got to get something soon. So we're exchanging now to be able to have these post-Uber chances left to get anything to play for, and that is exactly what we're getting here. It's not the fancy post Uber, you just push back after Uber immediately. Gotta wait for another Uber to do it with, but now it's a full ad push as well.
Yeah, and they're gonna make it work, man. These German last pushes have not been the cleanest thing ever, but this one's looking mighty fine already. So much cap time out of Oxy. Sticky's cleared off the point. They did lose Pickles already, but maybe if they were in position, these soldiers could work some magic here as Philip just jumps in. Hail Mary tries to maybe get onto something, but gets burned down instead, and it's only Ixie alive, who is probably just about spawned right now, and he's maybe gonna go for a back hit, but unfortunately there's 4 players on last. This one's not gonna happen, buddy. That's ambitious.
Who were we trying to kill there? The Devil Man? I don't know about that one.
Who knows?
That doesn't seem like priority number 1 right there for Ixie, I don't think. Unlucky. Very clearly they just got tunneled on point, right? They got half the cap time ready and then they just realized, okay, now we can just get it all immediately, rush. But they were just dead wrong. Everyone could still get the damage in just fine in the end. Uber in for Mandem. They don't need to win that badly. They just need to make good progress over the map, get themselves away from the last point, make sure to have this safe thing that to fall back on, but not getting Pickles even with 2 kills is rough, so gotta go for more. Gotta make sure Pickles never gets to begin with trading a couple more numbers, but anyone going down while Pickles is running is just good news for them, because there's nothing left defending him after that.
Yep, it's only Ixie left alive, matter of fact. Once more, we've been here before. He does at least find a kill onto Hans as a little consolation prize, but it's not really something to write home about if you're trying to not lose another round. With 3 minutes left on the clock, already being down 1. Mandem are certainly looking decisive at this point. Probably a pretty good chance to convert this one as well, with June having over 60% ad. It's gonna do quite a lot for you, I think, in this position. You're gonna have a great time trying to get to last, and the Germans are aggressive. Fancy is just gonna pick up a nice little trap kill onto KN, for a matter of fact. He's just gonna pick that one up for free, because my lord, are these Germans ever keen to not lose this round, and putting themselves more and more in a position where they will, because now Vox goes on as well. It's an early Uber out of June, I guess. They expected more people forward in lobby, but it's going to be the awkward fight that they so would have wanted on the other side, and instead they lose last at the back of it. And there you go, 3-1 for Mandem.
It's almost heartbreaking to see these Germans play this well for so much of the game, but it's just not quite ever enough, it looks like. And once again, Mandem can convert, will come out on top, 3-1 lead this late in the game. Looks like they're running away with this. They just need to not completely fall apart on the mid fight, and they've been looking fairly good there, all things considered, and they might just have this map in the bag.
Yeah, I think it's starting to reach the realm of very, very difficult to convert 2 rounds in 2 minutes. It's possible, but it's going to require some absurd fighting, and well, Mandem are already passive after losing 1 player, knowing full and well that if they just play it slow and carefully, they probably cannot lose anymore. Obviously, the Germans know this. They know that they have to move fast. They know that they have a chance if they move as quickly as you physically can. So that's what they're doing. They get into this lobby immediately. They have a crits ready as well. It's not a Condor crits, but the Pickles crits can be good as well. And no, they find Balder straight away and force the Uber out of June in the tail end of it as well. Unfortunately for them, now Pickles is dead. You find Hans, but they still got to deal with a fully healed up Heavy and just a bunch of players on last that are not going to let them anywhere near that point. And even if they manage to get 1 kill, which they don't, but even if they had, you know, it still would have been quite a tough battle to go through, as they fall 1 by 1 to the mighty power of the Putus.
Yeah, that will do it as well. A couple of fights later from Fancy, that is, I think it's just KN, and I don't think it's even getting out of this fight anymore. They want the kill, they're getting it. They're getting all they wanted, 3 points on the board, not just in the map, but also the ETF2L leaderboards as well. Staying undefeated for 1 more map will look good, but they still have 1 more map to go through as well, and it still is dangerously close. We've seen what the Germans struggle so far. Breaking these damages is maybe not even the main problem so much as it's just converting out of the fights that they create from there, right? Just the second it gets a bit messy and DM fights on last, it's just priorities just slightly slip away from them. The Bandem side of things just has this slightly better team DM overall, finds these kills much more efficiently, and does not let any bit of space get wasted.
Yeah, it's unfortunate as well, almost heartbreaking, because they seemed in control for so much of the map, right? They were on Mandem's last for like 10, 12, maybe even 15 minutes there, just not able to convert anything. They had so much control of the map for like most of the time, but the few times Mandem managed to, you know, get to the other side of the map, they just immediately convert it. They just take it right all the way, while the Germans just struggle. They really got to fight for every single bit of ground they can get, and it just never quite worked out. And in the end, well, what matters is winning the round, not how much control you had of the map. So there you go. They're going to be taking the first one as we're headed into process, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember having seen a better team that has not gotten 0 out of, 15 possible points this deep into the season. It's been a while, but someone's got to do sometime for the other team to look good. And I mean, if nothing else, these Germans have made the other top contenders look really good this season, because they're they're certainly pushing people quite a bit to make these games this close. But they're not going to be happy with that. They want more. Luckily, there's still a chance to just do it in playoffs. And arguably, the games might get easier from here on out for the rest of the season. Some might think. I certainly wouldn't argue much against that. But still got the windows in the end, right? You can't keep getting these close games from here on out. If they want to have a chance in playoffs, they got to really comfortably come on top out of the next few games after this.
Yeah, like it's probably not a bad idea to assume the Germans are an easy playoff contender. I mean, they placed second last season, right? They did a pretty good job with
change, and the Germans obviously play a lot like they did last season, right? Unsurprisingly. But I think everyone just plays a little bit better against that sort of style. Last season they kind of stood out a bit more as the aggressive team, but this time around it's not so much the standout factor anymore as well. And things have changed. Everyone's levels up just a tiny bit, and the Germans can't afford to fall behind one bit, or else this will just be repeat appearances with same scorelines in playoffs, I think.
They gotta keep evolving as well. That being said, we do have some numbers on the screen. Monstrous damage out of Fancy. You love to see it. That's just how you like to see it. Unfortunately for Philip on the other side, not having a good match, at least not a good map that time, huh?
Sometimes I don't know. It was a weird game because a lot of the time we were just in these. It wasn't really a stalemate game either. We can't really blame that because even when the stamemates happened, there was a lot happening in those stamemates as well. They were quick to make a move pretty much every time after the first few minutes of the game. And it's just a lot of these fights just keep evolving, and if you just lose a guy early like Philip, that just, I mean, how is he going to kill anyone or get that damage going when you die early in the like a post-war fight? And you just lag all of that for so long.
And it's just, I think it's just across the board. It shows that just a bit more solid for MANDEM across the board. At least there. In the end, they had the better focus, as you said. Like the fights get a bit messy, and even though in some situations against some teams the Germans reveled in the chaos, and the chaos was really what drove them to do really well. Maybe it's because it's a missing piece, right? Maybe like Ixie's obviously an amazing scout, but maybe Shocky fits into that strategy better, right? Maybe that is the missing piece. Maybe Shocky revels in the chaos even better than Ixie does. So maybe if they take these chaotic fights and they actually had the scout that they're normally supposed to play with, maybe they would be looking at a different situation, because Shocky, he's a scout, at least from what I've ever seen throughout the years. If there's a chaotic fight, that is his ground, that is his realm, that's where he belongs, that's what he wants to have. So maybe that's part of it. Like that's why maybe the same strategy doesn't work as well now, because just slight changes in the chemistry and stuff create a completely different outcome, right? Maybe that's part of it, and that's why they're lacking that slight bit of focus that they could maybe need to clean up kills that they would have otherwise normally been able to in fights. Who knows?
Yeah, for what it's worth, MANDEM is made to look good at the end of all of this, right? It wasn't an easy win. Certainly had some mistakes here and there for sure, but in the end, you come out on top from a close game like this, an action-packed game like this. I mean, you're gonna get just all the good remarks for yourself. So you're gonna look really nice as a team. That is all reassuring, I suppose. And into process, certainly, that's all great to know as well. Not too similar in some ways, but still just wide open 5CP maps in many ways as well. And it's only one that everyone here played plenty, which is why I think until playoffs, it's not too worth analyzing map picks too much as well. It's just less maps to go around as well. Like, maybe those last few maps that aren't in this week's map rotation would impact map picks tremendously as well. For what it's worth, you've seen the Germans on Metalworks the other week, and it looked pretty good, but also pretty similar in terms of the end result, I suppose, as well. So certainly this 1 week hasn't fixed all the mistakes. They need a bit more time maybe on that one. Maybe process more to their liking. Wouldn't be the first time in the past few seasons where the German roster just has vastly different performances between maps, but they badly need one now, because 3 points today is maybe just 3 points not much of anyone will get before playoff comes around. That would set themselves apart so much, and after a few weeks of nothing, gave them finally some wiggle room to mess up with later down the line that they, with the close competition, really maybe just need.
Yeah, and imagine being the only one, or if not at least the first team to stop MANDEM from having a perfect regular season. That's something. They made history with being the team that went for a perfect regular season the first season they played as a team, and then choked in playoffs. and then they did it, I think, almost again last season, and then they choked in playoffs. So who knows? Do you want to let them repeat history again, or do you want to write your own?
Do you want another perfect season if you're MANDEM? It hasn't brought you good luck last time.
Yeah, maybe there's like bad karma associated with it, right? It's an eye for an eye. Oh, you get the good regular season, and then you place third again. I suppose either one can happen.
I would just give someone a freebie somewhere before playoffs.
Yeah.
Just have a bit of a stumble against Poland later down the line. And just
some good mojo.
Yeah, exactly. Just balance karma out a little bit. We'll see. For now, all that matters is still it's early on in the season. This is good competition. This is good practice you will badly need by the end of it all. Looking at how good these top few teams are, very much looking up to be. So you don't want to mess up just yet in this matchup. Germans closely behind, but MANDEM still just a step ahead. Fischkopf getting stuck on the high ground there a little bit. Does still hit. He got the kill there. Inso a bit too keen to get the damage on that. Soldier will go down. Flipping every time across the point. Looking good. Fall back already on the side of MANDEM. They don't want to mess around too much anymore. Just getting a bit greedy. They got such good damage on Fischkopf. They really thought they could get the kill easily, but it just took a second too long for the scout to get there.
Yeah, that's a solid little mid-fight out of the Germans, and they are gonna convert that into a second push aggression type of deal immediately, knowing full well they still have a player less on the side of the defenders to deal with. Well, as they lose KN now, that's certainly gonna turn the tide still with respawning Hans coming in as well, and Philip getting picked off. It's slowly crumbling away underneath them. The foundation was shaky to begin with. Very aggressive for an even Uber situation type of deal, and it did not work out. That gamble did not go their way. Now they have flipped the mid immediately, and they're not even going to get much beyond one forward spawner either with KN, so they might actually have to continue backing out of this. It's certainly not a fight that favors them at all right now, with MANDEM just so aggressive already, so much ground. Hans already in lobby, just so much ground taken. He's going to jump up, get immediately denied, but you know, at least he created a bit of chaos. It was a bit of a distraction, a bit of damage. I'm surprised there's not more follow-up out of MANDEM, honestly. Lardox couldn't get much done either, and the rest of the team is already backed out completely. They weren't confident in anything there at all. They assumed that there would be something like this coming with a lot of aggression out of the Germans immediately. K and Ixi already in, dealing some damage. They find Fischkopf though. To deal with him, Ixi as well dealt with. That's no flank for the side of the Germans. There goes Voxy, and just slowly but surely, it looks like they have to escape as best they can as Philip gets picked off as well, and Pickles is left alone with KN not anywhere near to meet him, and surely Pickles dies here. Surely, right? He doesn't live this one. Actually, pops. Fair enough.
Well, is that any better right now? That is just either gone either way, and that's all that matters from MANDEM's perspective. Now they have the advantage, and that's going to be maybe all they need at this point. Ken in the backline still could be a problem, but the question is for who at this rate, right? He's also missing on last with the defense pretty badly, and they need anything they can get their hands on to hold off this blue. But remember back to the first map, they had a chance on last, they instantly converted it. That 1-0 scoreline doomed for quite a while at the beginning of that match, so let's see if we can repeat success on the process last as well.
As they Uber in, take that sentry down immediately, they got a heavy to deal with Voxy up on that high ground though, but it doesn't really matter when he doesn't get close to the point and they get no frags. The Germans already down 3 players, haven't even got any frags. There's the heavy taken care of as well. Just nobody around KN being behind for so long, missing from the fight for so long. Just barely arriving at the tail end when everybody's already tanked up on the point. That's not going to do you any favors, and there you go. 1-0. Once more, MANDEM taking the lead very quickly, very decisively. And perhaps, just like last map, there could be a quick response out of the Germans if they bounce back on this mid-fight. But they're slow. They're slow as per usual. Fancy much faster, and Hans might even cut off the pack from Philip, so it's gonna be a grueling one. It's gonna be a war of attrition once more. And they gotta make it happen, as Fischkopf and KN both bomb the backline of this MANDEM team, and do find pretty much nothing beyond a little bit of damage. And already losing one of these soldiers as well, with the other one now caught behind. Well aware, those MANDEM players, of that guy, and Enzo, matter of fact, is gonna have a word with him, trying to get him snuffed out of that sewer. With Hans picking that up well. The rest of the Germans, so at least they kept their medic alive, you know? At least they're on second, they have a chance to hold here as best they can. Fischkopf finally gets cleaned up, and there you go. Maybe, just maybe, there's an opportunity here to not lose immediately.
Yeah, there's still a second hold, even if it's a weak one. MANDEM very much well advised to still make a play of this if they can. The sticky trap made a very awkward jump for Hans there. Don't think he wanted to go in like that, but trying to double down either way or play off whatever damage he might have gotten against XC, but it's not enough, and Lardox actually gets caught instead in the end, and look at that, just a little bit of a mistake. Will cost him right away. Fancy with some quick little fires, but he's just kind of stuck in a pretty bad position. KN on 140 will not die to a single 5 either. No worry on his mind there. Suddenly it transitions pretty quickly. Yeah, they really wanted to just play off Horns' accidental jump, but it just kind of made things fall apart pretty quickly. High bomb Horns now tries to make up for his mistake into the medic. Does not hit a lot of Pickles. Just a step on her back to just hop right back in. However, in already, it makes this a sort of trade more than anything, but is that really enough to play off? They try to, they lost a lot of space, but they are very confident they can reclaim this with Uber, but we've seen the Germans in exchanges like this before. They are quick to just change priorities away from the Uber into whatever player is as far away from the other medic as possible, to whoever cannot get flash, get those kills, and I mean, what's Dune gonna do? You can't risk to stay on second anymore at that point if you're surrounded let alone with people down. They have to go back to last, but being on last with people down is scary as well. Luckily, not much of anyone is playing with X into last there, so not a big threat in the end. However, and we've didn't see it once last map actually. KN is known to just occasionally go sniper. Try to be a bit of a haymaker in these kind of games. I'm surprised we didn't see it at any point last map actually, but very early on the second map now, KN on sniper.
Maybe not confident in his angles on Metalworks as much, and much more so on Process. I mean, in general, it's a bit more of a sniper-friendly map anyway, so it doesn't necessarily surprise as much. But he's gonna need to actually ring off some headshots, and Lardox may have just seen that little sniper laser pointer as well. If he so looked, they certainly have to deal with a Balder counter sniper on the other side as well. So that KN better be buffed up, and those headshots better be fully charged for Balder. Otherwise, we're looking at a dead sniper for the Germans immediately, and he's already getting spammed out. They are well aware of him now. They know exactly what to deal with. They've got June bunkered up in the dispenser armor as well. It's gonna be a very standard Process last hold for the side of MANDEM here, and they have to, well, not too much beyond just waiting for the Germans to mess up. The Germans, it's their ball. They gotta do something with it. They gotta try and get into this, try and find an opening to work with. Ideally, it hinges on the sniper duel. For KN just winning that duel against Balder. They're not looking at each other right now. Neither of them really have each other in their sights, and never mind, they do, but they miss. That's just how things go sometimes. That's how snipers play, as they're trying desperately to spam down that sentry as well. Just anything, a crumb, an inch to get something going here. Let an Ixie walk in and maybe somehow win against Lardox. Anything goes at this point.
Well, it is difficult, but we've seen on Metalworks that they have a plan to create a bit of mayhem on last if it needs to be there. That's a rough one though. Sure, Philip hits that, but still a trade in the end, not quite what you would want. And maybe that's just a good thing for Man, because look at that, they're just immediately falling back quite a bit. And if they don't, it's just a double man and Lobby taking the fight. Fancy maybe a bit too much of a fight, but it all takes attention away from that bomb Horns was setting up. All in the meantime, while they're busy with the double man on the Lobby. The bomb through by the soldier will succeed. Might not live to tell the tale, however. And that is maybe just good enough for MANDEM at this point. It's still a bit scary sitting on us with this many people down for even just a little while. They're gonna peek, and oh boy, are we peeking! And June's out of the dispenser for just a second.
Crucial hero shot. KN smells something is up, walks in through one, completely uncontested, hits that crucial shot onto June, and that's immediately going to turn the tide for the Germans here. Now they know they have a prime opportunity to make something happen. Even if KN loses the sniper duel against Balder there now, Pickles is very ambitious, just peeking him for that long, matter of fact, but they know they can get away with it if they bide their time here. If they just play it right and they don't lose that Uber to anything unnecessarily, the Germans have a prime opportunity to bring this map back for themselves. Bring themselves back into this, tie up the scoreline, get something going. So let's see how they approach it. They've got that full Uber. They've got their KN back on the class he belongs to, aka the soldier, and they're gonna just Uber straight in through lobby. They gotta deal with that sentry, get it down immediately though. Sticky's off the point as well, at least a little bit of cap time gets them ever so slightly closer to equalizing that scoreline, but they gotta start actually getting some frags, and they're not finding any. These players are so healthy for the side of MANDEM. That Heavy's tanked up as well. Neither side really losing players yet though, and finally the frags are falling in the favor of the Germans, and that's all it takes. Just a bit of aggression, coordinated onto the entire clumped up combo, and there you go, 1-1.
That 1 second of cap time at the very beginning actually mattered so much. Whoever was on point there died the second they got the round. That made all the difference in the world. Very surprised no one was playing from a secret up top, right? That's such a common thing to split attention a little bit, get easy damage from behind. No one really doing that. They're really fortunate these bombs were good enough this time around as well. But it will work out, so can't argue with success just now. Certainly the Germans back into the picture this game. June really worked from the get-go. Gotta be real careful if anyone commit. Balder eats a huge arrow to both scouts in fact on blue. Incredibly weak right from the get-go. Got fall back. Once again, a bit of a slugfest to start things on the mid-fight, but the Germans not quick to convert of any of the damage. Bomb across the point by Horns. Dies for that. take Kane down with him. Maybe that's something to work with as well. They're certainly rotating now, not come inside to see with mid-fights this long. Just try to take position away from the other team somehow, and by the time you get into a funny spot, let's see if the flank out faces you. No, they get Ixie, get Philip, they get Voxy one by one. Forcing this rotation on them is just doing everything it was supposed to.
And there you go, the Uber forced out of Pickles as well. Fishcup trying his damnedest to make something happen all alone. Fancy is gonna get killed for his troubles, so maybe a little bit too ambitious staying in there. Not respecting the Pickles damage too much either, but still, they don't find anything in the tail end of the Uber whatsoever beyond that demo pick. They're gonna have to worry about a full Uber out of June. They're gonna have to worry about that fancy spawner coming up sooner rather than later as well. So even if these MANDEM players are ambitious now and don't have a demo straight away, they're gonna have them soon enough. And the Uber has not even been popped yet. They have so much ground up above already. Finally, June uses just to get these players close to whatever defense has been mounted on the other side of this last point. And, well, they find a sentry for the time being while the Uber is being kited, and now they lose Hans. So maybe things are actually going alright for the Germans here. They are slowly dropping players, but they still have an opportunity to try and hold with at the very least. Man, they're bleeding away one after another, just not enough heals to go around. And there you go, 2-1 for the side of MANDEM. More playing that ground there. Oh, much rather playing it better than the Germans did.
Yeah, I mean, playing slow with the guy up top as well, to harken back to earlier. It just helps a lot as well. It's harder to get out of spawn when there's not just a scout in front of you, but there's a soldier you can't shoot just yet from on top of you. Just raining down rockets as well to make this even harder. Will be enough for MANDEM to turn around. Quick conversion once again. They're getting the nut, they're getting the round. What I'm learning so far, just it's up to the Germans to dictate how often they get that opportunity, and this midfight can't just get them back into the same position. MANDEM already the lead, can't let them pull ahead too much here. Blue team on the other side just wants something immediately, get the damage from Horn. Cloud of this bomb doesn't go so well though, turning a bit awkward all of the sudden. Get some good damage on the scout. Voxy weak, but Ixie just takes his place one by one. Maybe that will be enough for the Germans.
Yeah, it's just good biting of their aggression. Hans gets denied in midair. Kayan meets him face on, head on, just takes care of that one. And Voxy's so aggressive, he's in so far, he's tasted any sort of kill there. Unfortunately, it's not happening. But you gotta respect just the sheer aggression, trying to make something happen, chase something out of it. At the very, very least, buy some space on second here for his team. As the Germans get a little bit of cap time going, get a little bit of fighting going here as well. They're gonna opt to get that Uber exchange underway. Obviously, it's a lot better for Pickles. He keeps it alone on one single scout. They immediately pick off somebody who's not in the Uber, and now with the Ubers having faded already for the side of MANDEM, it's actually looking great for the Germans. They find June as well at the tail end there. No heals for these remaining defensive players. Philip is gonna be overextended here, does die to Inzo, but at the very least, he does a bit of damage. He does get a bit of ground. They only have to worry about Hans and Fancy at this point. Matter of fact, make that pretty much only Fancy, and there you go. Get another round off the back of it immediately. They're in this game. They're not giving it up for free.
Yeah, we're not reinventing the wheel to win this one either. It's the same exchange from earlier. As long as they can get deep enough before they pop the Uber and get a relatively even exchange onto second, which is difficult enough as is already, I suppose. But once they get that deep for the exchange, like way deep into enemy territory, they just love sending it even deeper. Chase down anyone in lobby, in rollout, whatever, that is off the beam, and suddenly you have really good position against them, and players down as well with a couple of people behind on their part. Tough to deal with, couldn't get out of it this time around. MANDEM has no answer for that exchange just yet. Need some answers on mid maybe. First of all, bomb behind, bomb up top. June tries to surf away, but Voxy makes sure that is no safe landing for that medic on any point of the map. And now, what do we do, right? Just keep the med life, run for our lives. It looks like it's the answer on the German side. They got what they wanted, or at least enough. Maybe just go for round 2 later.
Yeah, they do take care of the soldiers, which would be the biggest issue to deal with. Fancy far forward, trying to just lay down as much damage as possible, but eventually he gets surrounded by 2 scouts. You're just not gonna
still behind though.
Inzo is behind, but they turn around, they see him. Now they just gotta deal with Balder from front as well, and well, he's a tough nut to crack, but he does not have what it takes to go up against 2 scouts either. So they win the mid in the end, even though they lose it at first, they win in the end, and MANDEM just buying themselves a little bit of time with that aggression, but they're still going to be down quite a lot of considerable Uber percentage here. Ideally, the Germans just want to take this in for free. Obviously, they don't even want to have to worry about using it, and that's exactly what's going to happen, so they have this Uber ready for last instead. And matter of fact, if they move quickly enough, they can probably use it before June ever gets close. So it's just going to be on how they approach it. Looks like 1 is going to be the magical door this time around as they waltz in. Voxy takes a lot of damage already, but does get healed up. Still no Uber used for Pickles. No reason to. No aggression onto his team that warrants it just yet. And, well, they've lost their ad by now. They've also gained a lot of cap time. Matter of fact, yeah, it doesn't even matter. Ixie just stands on the point. He just stands there. He cleared up the one sticky that could have killed him, and Fancy maybe too confident in the fact that his remaining ones would kill him. Didn't.
Not him. Everyone was very confident that was going to be enough, but nope, not at all. And it's such a classic thing to happen. It's what happens to everyone in any division. You just hope you get Uber in time and block then, but then you sit so far back you can't get the point anymore. Everyone's been there, even at the top level. It just still happens sometimes. You hate to see it, but Germans, you got to realize he's in time and take advantage of it every single time. And there we go. That's a lead for the Germans finally for the first time in a hot minute.
Yeah, they are finally in the lead for once. Now they have to maintain it, and they're not doing a great job. They're not having a great time at it right now. This mid fight is atrocious. If you are looking to root for the Germans, an absolute wipe straight away. MANDEM coming back swinging. They will not take that one sitting down. They are on last before mid is even capped off. They are already spawn camping with a full Uber in tow. All of the Germans just now spawning, ready to try and break this somehow, as Inzo is just playing capture simulator. That's what he's doing. He's just capping points by himself, all on his lonesome. Finally, the Uber does get used out of the side of MANDEM, I suppose. There's no cap time just yet. Maybe this is actually holdable somehow for the Germans. They just took so long on MANDEM to actually get something going that maybe, just maybe, if the Germans play this right, they do hold this. And well, it's only Hans and Balder left to deal with, and the former gets dealt with. Balder still has to deal with Soldier behind as well, and matter of fact, he goes down, June goes down as well. They turn this around.
I mean, you never really believe, but I think you really have to at least pretend to believe in a comeback like this from spawn camp, Uber this at or not. But sometimes you just got it like that.
Sometimes it just kind of works like that. Again, I think it's just MANDEM maybe playing with their food a little bit, taking a bit too long to, you know, maybe should have left somebody else to cap as well. Not committed too much to last already. Now they gotta deal with it. They do have Inzo on the sniper. He's trying to catch somebody, trying to get into mid. Obviously that didn't quite work out. Now he's doing the walk of shame all the way back, at least a second for the time being. Maybe catch somebody here, but ultimately he's probably just gonna have to give up entirely. Matter of fact, the Uber gets used very, very early out of the Germans. Maybe expecting more of a fight there than they actually got. Oh well, at least they get second off the back of it.
At this point, at least as long as you get to play last eventually into this scenario, it's fine, right? You don't need something quick. You gotta just not lose a second point. And MANDEM knows that they are down in the game as well. They need the opposite of that. They gotta get away from here as soon as possible. So they're trying while they still have advantage. Might as well get a shot at it as well. But this is where it could get dangerous. Pickles getting out alive is the last thing you want to see. And there's 30 people waiting in the back line. Somehow there's a scout in one and a soldier on top of them. But I don't think they're really having anything to work with much. Roxy at least changed something. And there is so much damage of that actually as well. Never mind. There's 3 people behind every which direction, and on top of that, the soldier finds the bomb. I was expecting no one to follow up, but we're getting them. No defense, that is enough.
That was dangerous. One more rocket would have definitely done it for Pickles there as well. So lots of body blocking, keeping Lardox just from getting ever so slightly close enough to clean up that medic kill. No response from MANDEM. Pickles has that full Uber ready. They didn't even cap second either. So it is another prime opportunity for the Germans to try and take this last. And well, honestly, it seems like the situation they want to be in least is a full Uber ad, because they seem to never be able to convert those. But maybe, just maybe, this one's going to be different. This time around, they're going to have it on lock.
Does them a favor, snipes the medic, and then they can win without the beam. There's the snipes already, making this quite concerning.
Doesn't find anything with it, though, as the Uber comes through, keeps everybody safe for the tail end of it. Now they actually got to start finding some frags, though, and well, Lardox might be the first to fall. Never mind, Loxy is going to be the first to fall on the other side. Kayan also gets caught in the spawn door of the enemy team. And there goes Philip, just trying to sticky up point, do something, get a little bit of cap time. That's not going to happen either. And you're out. You gotta go back. If you're the Germans here, you cannot contest this much longer. Pickles is already well aware, leaving as best he can. And MANDEM obviously want to coast this once more.
Yeah, you got it. It's this. I mean, the fact that it's not 4-2 right now is already a miracle as it is. Want to point out as well that snipe earlier was so good. It crashed my game as well somehow. But certainly it's exactly what MANDEM needs here as well. Already getting kill on the midpoint too, just making sure no one gets to get any play towards the medic, and it just makes getting second maybe that tad bit easy as well.
Yeah, I mean, they still have that Uber ad to work with. However little it would have been, by now it has faded, but missing a player, aka Fishkopf, on the defending side certainly isn't going to make it much easier. in an equal Uber situation or anything like that to hold. Hans is already slipped in behind, does get a little bit of damage out of the combo before getting cleaned up though. Not much to worry about with him. CR7 is not going to get away with it this time around, and matter of fact, you have Ixie on the other side trying to be a bit cheeky before realizing that there's people spamming my IT as KN bombs in and lands on nothing. He lands in no man's land.
Not really hitting the landing this time around. It's unfortunate, but I mean, as long as you still do it before Hans is fully up, I guess you can still call it not the worst trade, I guess, right?
I suppose.
5 seconds of spawn time, I think, by the time Hans came up, so not a lot of time, but 6v5 makes it a little bit more affordable.
Certainly not the worst
Dude,
trade
so
I've
much
ever seen.
damage peeking into that sewer door into second. Terrifying as this already, and I think any plan to make another play is, or you'd think might get delayed quite a bit, but Waller's just staying in, we don't fear at all. Medic just take the pack and we're going right back in, but the flank's taking a bit of an L. Can get that kill pretty quickly. Fishcup gets better to Hans, not a kill maybe, but certainly forces them out, and without those guys suddenly it's cancel play whatever the plan was here, maybe just getting a bomb in. It really was all they're hoping for. At worst, maybe let it go to an exchange, none of that now. Falling back as well. They might want to get around pretty badly, but not badly enough to try that. And trade on the flank, maybe also not what they're asking for, but I mean, you gotta now figure out if this guy is down, where can we aggress off of that, maybe?
Yeah, maybe you can cut off KN here as well. He's aggressive in sewer, but he does get taken care of. He escapes for the time being. Lardox in with a big, deep bomb. Does get a lot of damage to the Piggles, but my man just surfs that. He respects it, but he does surf it away. He does not pop to that, and yeah, that's pretty good hold on him as well. Again, the more time the Germans can burn off of that clock now, the better for them. They are up around. They have the opportunity to actually take some points off of MANDEM. In normal regulation time, without any sort of troubles at all, they gotta play at their own pace, basically, at this point. And why take any unnecessary risks, even off of one player? No need to push out on that. It's on MANDEM to try and make a play. It's on MANDEM to make mistakes, trying to break this hold, and I guess we'll see whether it's gonna be another high bomb through choke, or maybe a little bit of demo spam creating some ground, and then...
That's kind of the thing though, right? We've seen that on all last points pretty much. Not on the second point, however. Just doing a lot of aggressive plays, forcing mistakes on the defense as well. But you can't just let them comfortably sit here. You gotta make something happen that forces them out of position, gets someone to take too much damage, anything like that. And on the last point, we've seen both teams being relatively competent at that. On the second point, we've seen it, what, like twice now? MANDEM attempt these sort of things, and it looks similar to this already, right? They tried before, it just always fell flat pretty early. Once again, trying to force Hans behind, and I mean, he's getting there, I suppose, but this is now the furthest they've gotten with this, and so far the answer is to just exchange once they have the player behind. We'll see how much value this can actually get. They're trying to force the flash into this flank there, if anything is possible of that. Get the Devilman still as well. Piggles nowhere to be seen to help anyone there as well, and the attempt to help late is just making things worse, it feels like.
Yeah, actually, they just went in so much far forward. Like, I don't know where Piggles was with his team, why they were so far forward when there was an Uber player and just players in general, you know, bunching up behind them, and there you go. That's gonna bite them immediately. Ixie, the only one alive. Piggles just, Philip just now spawning as well. Not gonna be able to protect that point at all. Making it 3-0 once more. And just like that, we're back in the game for MANDEM. 7 minutes left. It's still very much so anybody's game, and to be honest, this is more rounds than I expected to see on this map of Process. I expected it to be a bit slower, but I'm not complaining.
Not this season, it looks like. Not at all. Not with these teams. Certainly not. MANDEM still has something to say about this. The weakness has certainly been much more exploited this game, but this exchange is making the weak exchanges earlier on tonight be vaguely mistaken, but not forgiven quite yet if they can't get yet another round somewhere along the way. Boulder up top against Ixie. Inzo is the one that gets better of this one. Soldiers behind, cutting off the exit. They're finding the kills on him just a second too late. Where's June? That's all they need to care about, but I don't think they're anywhere close to the medic right now.
Philip is gonna, Philip Fishcup is gonna try to make his best work here, but he just gets cut off by the scouts as well. Nowhere, any ground being seceded to that soldier either, so MANDEM back in control. Another beautiful wipe on mid, another full Uber to try and take into last move, and this time they're not as ambitious. They're not immediately spawn camping, so perhaps they're actually gonna have a better chance of converting it, as Germans try to mount their best defense possible. It's certainly been done before. It's doable to hold this, but they gotta have a hold of their lifetimes. And
the fact that they had worse than this is quite concerning, I think, on MANDEM's end, but you can't let that get to you. You know what you're doing here. We've seen it earlier on. The first one just worked immediately, and I think despite that push earlier, everything that was an African blood more or less just worked tonight as well. So one mistake you might get away with as long as everything else works here. Right away, the gun goes down, forcing cap time already. getting the damage there. So the knights will get traded out. Both of them, in fact, everyone has to step to the task. Someone's gonna block the point. Heavy comes out so late out the door, and by that point, one by one, anyone blocking just got whittled away with already. And that does plenty of work, and in no time at all, MANDEM finds themselves on map point.
Once more, back in the lead as well. Less than 2 minutes actually for that round. That's a very, very quick one to have. You love to see it. Wipe on mid, take it to last, and win. That's what the Germans need if they want to stay in this. Take it a full match point, 4-4. Certainly been a while since we've seen one of those. And perhaps, just perhaps, this could be the map it happens on tonight if they get back into this. 5 minutes left still. Certainly possible for 2 rounds to transpire in that time frame. So I suppose it's going to boil down to how well this mid goes for the side of the Germans. Whether they lose now or get to have another opportunity to win or lose later, as things are underway and no players died just yet. As I say, that Voxy gets bombed, but both soldiers get taken down for the side of MANDEM as well. But they do find Philip and Kayan in exchange once more. Crucially though, they haven't found Pickles just yet. He's gonna escape with Ixie, and Fishcup, while getting caught, maybe gets away with a little bit more damage. And well, it's not a complete disaster for the Germans, but they are down around and they are on last once more, so it's not looking great either.
Yeah, they just got preempted on the time mid fight. They were stuck in the corner the entire time, basically. The soldiers couldn't get good jumps early, and with that, they had nothing to get out of there either, just waiting for the soldiers to get heals, and by that time, MANDEM has already covered most of the midpoint for themselves. We'll convert this into second from there, and hardly need to rush this into last, but I'm sure they will take their chances, and fact of the matter is as well, they still gotta obviously get it out of here as well, so as much as MANDEM certainly will not do nothing on last, the fact that they get just met halfway by the German side as well, whenever they do try, probably just plays into their hands more than it doesn't at this point.
Yeah, a bit of a cheeky attempt there with Ixie on a sniper on the side of the Germans, seeing if he can turn the tide here, get a crucial little pick somehow, some way, but he's not going to get away with much at all. MANDEM very well aware that that could be coming their way, well aware that they are up around and they can afford to just slow the pace down ever so slightly, because the more they do, the more impossible it becomes for them to, well, lose at this point. With 3.5 minutes left, they have to really mess up if they want to give the Germans another chance at taking home any points tonight at all. And, well, they're certainly trying their best right now. The Uber does come through with Pickles. Obviously, it gets countered out of June as well, but it is better for her. He does not have to flash as much as well, so it is going to fade at the equal time, and now Pickles will get caught on the way out, potentially. Actually, lives for surprisingly long before finally getting cleaned up, but does die eventually, and, well, that's bad for you for the Germans. They still have a lot of presence right now in this fight. Surprisingly, they do find Fancy, for instance, and, well, they do lose Kayan in exchange, but they still stay in this. They still stay aggressive enough to deny any sort of MANDEM players forward, and again, I don't think these MANDEM players even necessarily want to. I think they're just fine with staying on second for a while.
I mean, it's not the end of the world to not get early into last and peek away already. As long as the match stays alive, that's really what they were worried about as well. They were fearing a bigger bomb than whatever happened there in the end. But it might still come to fruition here as well. We're trying once again, get great damage early. It looks like in all the worry, they might not have been worried too much about bomb number 2 and 3 after all of that at the beginning. They were still trying a little bit harder. They have 2 minutes to do this. It is not looking great for the red team. But at least that's not to submit. And MANDEM is well aware of the fact they want to exchange early, but they didn't see Kayan at all! They were so worried about Show. Kayan just snuck right past them.
And he gets that force for free. He takes it away. Another fancy pick as a kicker as well is certainly something you're going to be happy about, as the rest of the Germans now try to get into mid and, well, capitalize on that, you know?
Backup.
See what you can do. That backup is going to be a problem, though. Inzu does pull back the whole team with it and probably buys his team a crucial bit of time there, because if it wasn't for that, I could have seen these Germans very well try to take that all the way to the enemy last. They could have
getting a kill while Ixie goes down to the guy just pretending to back up at this rate. Just dragging back, wasting time. And with a minute and a half left, there's not a lot of that resource to go around anymore for the red team. And they still spend so much of it just looking for the guy. This could have been mid long ago.
Yeah, at this point,
they just had no worry about getting back up.
At this point, they've got the entire team back to last just to deal with one guy. They're so scared of him, knowing what could have possibly happened, but they've lost their entire Uber ad. They have no position to really push with at all. I mean, they obviously got to try anyway, and they at least find Hans early, finally get the exchange out of June as well, but it's obviously so much later of an Uber, so they lose Kayan for it. Now they just gotta somehow clutch out this post-Uber fight, and then in a minute's time, be on the enemy last.
Disaster for MANDEM, maybe?
Maybe, it's certainly possible, but they gotta tighten up their play on the side of the Germans so much. They cannot let anything slip away.
Get in there, it's not enough just yet to get the medic. Pickles is so weak though, we can't use yet either. This is just coming down to these last players staying alive.
Inzo still slips in as well, he's gonna be dealt with.
30
it's
seconds.
30 seconds.
We haven't even capped mid yet. This is quite too long. MANDEM might be losing, but they're losing way too slow.
Yeah, the Germans are not winning fast enough. They're taking slightly too long. I mean, 20 seconds, I guess it could happen, but they have to go so unbelievably quickly for the rest of this. And even just a single death will completely stunt whatever momentum they could possibly have here. They're aware. They see that timer. They know they have to move. And that heavy denying them 1 second is probably all she wrote. Hans taking that forward spawner heavy, denying the second cap as best as possible, and that's all she wrote. MANDEM are gonna win this map, just narrowly avoiding a golden cap, but they do avoid it, and they do take home the full 6 points.
I mean, I'm sure there's people that will clamor for an April said, oh no, they could have had a chance if they had more time, but we've been playing with 30 minutes for 50 million years. You know exactly how much time you have, and they still just spend so much time dealing with the guy behind, getting the fight on mid over and done with, and they just took too long for everything of those things in the last 2 minutes. And they know the reason, you got to know your resources, and they just did not use them well there in the end, unfortunately. And with that, the Germans remain, I think, the best team to stay pointless 3 weeks deep we have maybe ever seen.
They got some points off of forfeits. They're not completely pointless. They got some score, right? Unless I'm misremembering.
A win, I guess, anyway, at that point. Point stands, they haven't won a match.
Winless, sure. But
how can you be this good and not get the wins? It's got to be frustrating, but at the same time, and I hope I'm right on that one, it's not gonna cause major issues for the next few weeks for them. I don't think they're gonna be, like, eternally upset about not winning these games.
Yeah.
And, like, have the team mold and die over it or something like that. I think they're beyond that at this rate. They know, you gotta know these are the hard matchups. These are the ones that you certainly can't afford to lose by playoffs time. Now is where you have the wiggle room. You've got to take this as learning experiences. You see in these tough matchups early where things are going wrong for you, and fix this later down the line for MANDEM. It is reassuring. This is obviously, being last season's grand finalist for the most part, of course, a team you have to expect to give you a run for your money, and the fact that they did come out on top obviously is reassuring. The fact that it just barely worked out, maybe a little bit less so, but we saw where some mistakes happened. I think one of the main strong points for the Germans tonight was a lot of the exchanges, and a couple last holes here and there, but even that really mostly happened only in the later half of process. So there's still some tough stuff to work on for MANDEM. There's still good news for everyone involved here, even if it's mostly for MANDEM. But as it stands, that will be it. Yeah, they can happily claim themselves victorious and the winning team of the season for a little bit longer.
Yeah, and the Germans are done with the gauntlet for the time being. They should have an easier rest of the season ahead of them. So without much more stalling, I think the A-Stream match is still going. It is TLR versus Sked, I believe. So
yes.
We will be looking at that instead. See you later, chat.